Recording and public.
Hey,
Yeah,
how are you?
good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Happy Easter to you guys. What's going on?
Who's out here? Oh, Tim?
Yep, just Tim and yourself for now. So, I can go over any questions you guys want. I figured not a lot of people would be here for today. Um, but that's totally fine. So, if you are working, if you do want to handle stuff or you just want to chat about stuff, let's do it. I think going forward, Tim, I know this is your first group call and we have another one scheduled for later this week. We're primarily focused on more or less manifesting. Um, the group calls, the way that they work, normally I will record these and I'll post them to YouTube unless you guys don't want them to go to YouTube. I think it's just a good marketing way. I think there's a lot of good conversations that come out. It's not just me kind of giving my 2 cents on things. I really want you guys to be more focused and able to help each other out. So good questions. Once I get to know you, I'll start kind of throwing you to the wolves and be like, Tim, we've chatted about this before. What are your thoughts with this? Leslie, I know you're still chipping away at a lot of business stuff. Um, and you're just hopping on the group calls for now. So anytime that you want to RSVP and submit stuff or just kind of chat about that, that's fine. We'll hop back between both personal and business stuff on the group calls. And then if there is something that's brought up that you guys don't want to go on YouTube, because that's the only thing that I'll ever post to YouTube, just let me know and we can certainly handle that as well. And I won't post it. But since it's just YouTube for now, I'll kind of open it up to answer any kind of questions. You don't always have to stay the whole hour, but if you want to get something out of this or you have direct questions that you want to just kind of chat about, that's what this is for. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Leslie, what you got? I don't think that you submitted any questions on this one, but what are you working on?
Okay, well, this is more personal. But
You're
this is one that came up in conversation today. Can you hear me?
yeah, you're cutting out a little bit. What's going on?
Okay, so when it comes to love languages,
Yeah.
what what is it? So is it your languages are what you didn't get as like growing up, or
No, there's a book called The Five Love Languages, and they have like all these different variations, but five love languages are acts of service, words of affirmation, quality time, gift giving, and was it physical touch? Did I already say that one? Acts of service, words of affirmation, quality time, gift giving, and touch, I think. Yeah.
yes.
Sorry, unless I didn't repeat myself. But there's a book on this that talks about how to sort of implement those and understand what another person's love language is. We're all five, just in varying amounts. So it's really important to kind of understand how people like to be given to. Oftentimes, what ends up happening is we give someone else the way that we like to receive. So, like for me, it's acts of service. And so, if I'm not conscious of another person's love language, I'll just end up doing acts of service for another person. But their thing may be quality time, or maybe touch, or maybe words of affirmation. And if I'm not doing those as much as that person wants, that can cause issues. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, you
But
got
how
to.
does, because I thought it was your languages are typically what's modeled to you. But I heard a couple of times on TikTok that oftentimes it's what you didn't get when you were younger. So what do you think about that?
Well, I don't think that we should always believe everything that we hear on TikTok, including shit that I say. But like, I would be honest and say you got to read the book and make that decision for yourself. I think your attachment style is more or less taken from what you've witnessed, but your love language style and how you like to receive can be modeled after that. But I don't think that that is as set in stone. You got to read the book.
Well, I read it years ago, so I don't remember all of it, but next time I have to read it again.
Yep. Yep. There you go. So cool. Why do you ask?
Because my son and his wife were there, and he's just learning about them. He actually learned them at a course through the military. So
Okay.
he was talking about his love languages. And so that's what made me think about it after hearing TikTok. Like, wait a minute, like he definitely got that. So I was like,
Yeah.
what is it?
Yeah.
Uh,
I don't know what's going on with the algorithm too, but like I've been getting a lot of shit that I'll see. There's shit that I learned. Like there's shit that like I went through and I watched happen even historically, like when I was a kid. And now I see people on TikTok like trying to almost distort that truth or distort the thing about how it happened. And I'm like, this is inherently incorrect. Right. So it's making me really weary about what I take for granted online, including the things that I'm also mentioning online. And I try to do a better job at saying, hey, in my opinion, what I've seen in my experience, right? You can do whatever you want. You don't like it, leave the rest behind. I'm not telling you that something is definite, but I'm saying, here's my point of view. Here's a reference. Here's a tool from my experience. Um, and I feel better about the content that I put out because inevitably at some point I always get people that send me nasty DMs or want to argue with shit. And it's just one of the things that is it kind of goes on. So don't believe everything that you hear on the internet for sure. But
for
sounds
sure.
like your son in the military is learning good courses, quality courses, but I yeah, I don't know what part of the military he's in, but he's learning very different courses than what I'm learning. So good for him.
Yeah,
So
he said it was part of some resilience training.
wow. Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, our resilience training is a lot worse. But yeah, what else you got? Anything work-wise or personal?
Um, just a couple breakthroughs,
Okay.
personal things this week, so just excited, happy about that.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, it's good. Keep celebrating those wins. We'll do that. Let me see. I'm just going through anyone else's questions. Do you have any questions specifically?
No,
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, we'll keep it short and sweet for this one. Tim, I don't know if you're driving or if you just want to listen in. Either way, it's totally cool. But do you have any questions, anything specifically for you? If not, I'll try to come up with something. Um, actually, I'll put this. What's up? What's up?
Oh no, yeah, I was just gonna say, actually got called into work today, so I'm just kind of listening in. And I'll chime in if I think of something in between.
Totally cool, man. Yeah, just listen up, chime in. Usually these group calls are a lot more focused. I'm at the beach this weekend. Unfortunately, I got glutened yesterday pretty bad, so I've kind of been down and out today. But it's all good. So yeah, normally, especially on the Thursday calls, if I have that, I'm trying to jump back between Thursdays and Sundays. So you guys can do that. The way that I'm going to be revamping my site in particular is going to essentially have a whole different members platform. I'm going to work with a chick who's going to build this over about 4 weeks, but I'm going to slim things down to just having like one offer for myself, including a members platform where after somebody does an initial amount of sessions and they get access to this video master course that I'm making, that'll be their membership platform where they can book additional one-on-ones and have access to different things. So that'll be coming out hopefully in the next 2 months. I wish I had more time to do that, but keep an eye out for that. Once we do chat on Thursday, Tim, I know you want to talk a lot about manifesting. Uh, I've had a really good streak of like manifesting things, but kind of like our first call, I want to just give you touch points about what it is that you're looking to do it, how much energy you have to allocate towards this thing, and kind of what it costs. Like I personally believe that manifesting doesn't really go against religious reasons, but you have to have a full cup up. Your karma needs to kind of be in balance. And I think that when you do manifest something, it just kind of brings something that is on your road to you a little bit sooner. But I don't believe that you can kind of manifest another person or change another person's free will. So we'll talk about some of those constructs. But if you have any questions about that, you can just always text me. And I'm happy to chat, but I've just been in and out of sleep all day, so I'm a little rough right now. Clearly need a shower as well. But does that make sense? Sorry, it's probably at work.
Oh
Taylor, I
yeah,
see
no,
you.
I'm tracking. I'm good to go. Actually, I did have some of a question. I guess
Shoot.
a little on the side of manifesting. So I'm trying to build a routine centered around this new job I'm having.
Yeah.
And it's really, really hard because it's about a 12, 13 hour day. And I'm
Yeah.
trying to fit every single thing, like my side stuff, the gym, quality sleep, making my meals. So that's something I've actually been struggling with.
Yeah. Yeah. Condensing time is really, really difficult. I get it. Like every day I kind of have a hodgepodge of different things. But I track my sleep and I use a watch and I use an Oura ring because if I'm not sleeping well or I'm struggling or I have like a bad week of sleep, I really temper down all of those things that I need to do, right? Yeah, cool. I took 2 days off to go to the beach, but now that I'm like actually relaxing, my body is like, fuck, dude, you're sick, you're tired. I haven't been able to work out. I haven't even been able to like snap out of this mental fog. Whenever I actually put myself in a state of rest, my body is like, yo, you've been really operating at a deficit, and here's how tired you actually are. And I'm like, because normally when I'm back home doing my day, it's like I'm just slicing and dicing things that I need to do, just crushing shit all the time. And then when I actually force myself to relax, whether it's due to burnout or this, my body's like, hey, you're actually here. So understanding your own energy levels, being able to track your sleep, identify that, hey, holy shit, I'm like at like a 50% body battery today, or I'm at 17% body battery, or hey, I'm at 82. Your Aura ring will start to match the intensity of the things that you're doing. I really like that. I think it's the best one I've ever used in comparison to like a Whoop or an Apple Watch. And then my Polar Watch is pretty good for my Aura. And I'll just track my runs and stuff with that. But you really have to temper your stuff. So we can work on creating like a list of things that you like to do and want to do, and then kind of compare that to your energy levels because no one ever tells you that, hey man, it's okay if you don't make it to the gym or you're not eating or you're not doing all of the 12 things that you like to do on a daily basis. Like, oh, he dropped, but whatever. You guys get it. I know I've talked to you, Taylor, and you, Leslie, about that, but Tim, yeah, I don't know if you dropped off, but once we do find a way to like track your sleep, then we can give you a list of things you can say, okay, well, I'm really only operating at 50% today. Let's kind of tone down what it is we're doing. And you can kind of forgive yourself for some of the things you either do or can't do on a daily basis. That's what I would recommend because I used to beat myself up a lot for not being able to do all of the things I want to do in a given day, which would only lead me more to burnout. So I'm not saying take your foot off the gas, but there is a way to say, okay, well, actually, I'm here. And if you can listen to your body, listen to your mind, you're going to be able to make better decisions. Okay, so I didn't meditate today, right? So I wasn't able to meal prep. So I wasn't able to go to the gym and lift weights for 2 hours. Like you got to find a way to give yourself some grace. But we'll work on building those routines and figure out which ones are more or less your kind of cornerstone habits, right? Like if I'm not hitting my meditations for 20 minutes a day, like I am just way less present. I have less patience, I have less empathy, and I'm less focused. So for me, I have to find time to sit down and do that. Even if it's not a great meditation, the fact that I can just slow my brain down for 20 minutes, let it catch up, let it kind of process all the things that I want to do, writing down our schedule the night before. We'll go over all these things when we talk on Thursday. Okay.
Yeah, no, sounds good. I look forward to that.
Sweet. Yeah. And text me if you have anything specific about that. But Taylor, how are
Yeah.
you? You got anything going on? Maybe she's also doing something, maybe just hopping on. But
I just don't know how to unmute myself. So
oh, there you go. How are you?
I'm good. We had a last minute check-in, so I'm like racing over to that house to make sure it's good. Um, so I had a whole list of questions for you for today, but I don't have them with me. I can
Nice.
catch you on the next call. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing is like just echoing off what you said. Like I do have grace and patience with myself when I can't complete everything.
Yeah.
There's like 3 things I make myself do every day, and then I have to be okay with that if I miss a bunch of other things.
Yeah, trust me, I used to fucking beat myself up all the goddamn time when I wasn't able to like do something. So just give yourself a little bit more grace if you can't do those things. I think a lot of people, once they do start being productive and get on this like habit of how awesome they are and what they're doing, they get into this negative habit also of like starting to beat themselves up for missing a day of meditation or not going to the gym in the morning or taking more rest or eating a little bit of sugar or having some alcohol. That they don't know how to like balance after they get on the journey of like self-help and self-progress. So I'd like to orienteer everybody that way, especially on the group calls throughout the summer. Like, have fun, live your life. You don't have to work every single day, right? I need to take my own advice on that, but yeah, we'll work on this because I know we have some calls coming up as well, but that's what I would kind of like to focus is like, how do you maintain that balance? It's different for everybody, but how do you say, hey man, it's okay if you have cookies. Hey man, it's okay if you take 2 or 3 days off the gym because your body needs a reset. You've been working out every single day for the past 20 years, you know? So finding a way to give ourselves a little bit more grace, filling up our cup, that's always the right thing to do, but not making that a permanent habit where we're just indulging after, okay, I went to the gym. Now I can just eat as much Chipotle as I want or drink as much wine as I want. Like that, there needs to be some sort of balance, right? But it's different for everybody.
Well, I think I had more questions about like systems and operations because I think I sent you that meme that was like if you're, I forgot if it's like you're stressed out or something like that. It's probably your systems that are broken, not your idea. I forgot what it said, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And it was a good reminder because I was freaking out about a couple of things. Like, oh my God, I'm so stressed about this. I'm like, why am I not just finding a way to fix it instead of stressing about it? And sure enough, like just in like with the vacation rentals, the setup process is probably the hardest. Now that we've done it, we've got 15 properties now. So now I've done it 15 times. I'm like, okay, now I'm going to streamline the setup process. Ended up finding a girl who does it for a very nominal amount of money and loves
Yeah.
doing it and is OCD. So I'm like, dude, you can take this out because that eats. So that in a setup, it takes about 40 hours total to get it from start to finish, like onboarding photos, everything. That takes 10 hours away from me having to do it. So it's like, okay, I gotta start streamlining and narrowing my focus down on my processes and getting them spelled out so then we can run a little faster.
Yeah. Okay. So the biggest thing business wise for me, like, yeah, that video calls it systems. I call it protocols, right? There's protocols that you can have for your personal life. There's protocols you have for my business. My main one, my number one is like automate, optimize, delegate. What does that mean? Okay. I'm always looking for things. What can I automate? What can I optimize? Or what can I delegate? Anything that comes to any one of my businesses, I can do one of those 3 things, right? Which is why I'm always working on my site or new emails or just better processes. But generally, anything that I do falls into one of those 3 categories, and that's all that I'm trying to answer. Right? What can I automate? What can I optimize? What can I delegate? Right? That's simply it. Okay. So I would try and focus on answering those questions for you, right? Because you don't need to fix everything. Okay. You don't. So what can you automate? What can you optimize? What can you delegate?
Well, and that's where I was right at is like figuring out what can be offloaded, what I have to be involved in. I even have an assistant starting in May that's going to take over a lot of the like menial stuff, like what's it called? What? You're fine. Sorry, we're changing out a lock on a property and my son's freaking out about bugs. We're in Florida. Um, no, it's like figuring out what I can delegate and get rid of and what I can hand off without causing any issues
Yes.
is what the biggest thing is.
Yep, absolutely. So just write those things down and like put that at the top of your to-do list, right? What can you automate? What can you optimize? What can you delegate? If you can't do any of those 3 things and you have to do something manually for your business, I guarantee you do that for as long as you can, if that's absolutely necessary for you to do. But everything that you can do or you have to do for your business can be automated, optimized, or delegated. I promise you, 100% of the things that you do for your business, all 3 of anything that you do can fit into one of those 3 categories, right? So I think that is the best. I don't even know where I came across that or if my ADHD brain just like kicked that out one day, but I think about that all the time. Okay, going to my website, what can I automate? What can I optimize? What can I delegate? Most of the stuff that I end up doing is like, okay, well, how do I optimize this? Right. And I'll eventually optimize it in a way that I can probably either automate that or delegate that once I funnel it down to what I need that one thing to do. Right. So that's eventually it. And then if you need to hire someone, right, you're delegating that task, or one of your other employees can handle that, whether it's VA or somebody else. Like that is always the way. Then with your work schedule, I know you have 12 or 13-hour days, but like write that shit down, automate, optimize, delegate. Right.
Well, that's one of the things I started last week was like writing down every single thing I was doing, figure out, and then I would review it at night, like, okay, what was my biggest stress, or what are menial tasks that I don't need to do at my level, can pass off to somebody. Because I always try to save money for the owners, but then there's also times I'm like, well, they are paying me to do it. I mean, they're the ones who are trusting with their properties. They do need to pay for us driving out there every day. But being able to write it all down and over the course of the week, I was like, oh, these 12 things, I really don't, I can trust anybody. I can even trust somebody digitally to take over. So I guess my next stressor is just like figuring out what system to use that I can constantly communicate with everybody that's below me to make sure as I'm sending out work orders or sending out jobs or projects, and how to stay in touch with them as they go through where it's just like, when you delegate, you just inspect what you expect. So just making sure that they're following through on whatever expectations there are.
Good. Yeah. A lot of it boils down to communications as well. So like the better that you can communicate with someone personally and professionally about your expectations, obviously that's fine, but you don't need to do all of those things on your to-do list. You don't. You anything on that list can fall into one of those three categories. So I would write down your priority list and then figure out of those three, which one can I automate, which one can I optimize, which one can I delegate. I guarantee you're going to shorten your list.
Awesome.
Make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay, cool stuff. Anybody else? Just kind of with short questions here. I think it was just you three that registered for this, but either Thursday or Sunday, we'll dive in a little bit more. But what else you guys got?
All right, can you hear me?
Yep.
Back to manifesting. So do
Sure.
you think that you can still manifest at a low frequency? Maybe not all the time, but like sometimes?
No. My personal belief is no.
Okay.
I think that manifesting, think about like a cup. If that cup has holes in it, or it's a shitty cup, right? You have to patch those holes. And then you have to make sure that your cup is on an even surface. And then you have to pour the right water in there. And then you have to get that water to boil. And then even as it boils, after it's done boiling, you have to put the tea bag in there. And then you have to steep the tea for about 4 to 5 minutes and then let it cool down before that water becomes something else, becomes drinkable, it becomes whatever. Like that's how I think about manifesting. So when I hear low vibration, I hear either that cup isn't full, it doesn't have the right water, or it has some sort of leak in it. And I think it's probably possible to do it, but I think it becomes infinitely more difficult because manifesting costs energy to do. It's not witchcraft.
Right.
I've been manifesting like a boss. I've just been saying things and then I've watched things like come in and I'm like, oh wow, this is weird. But I think it's because I've been taking care of myself and doing less. And because I'm doing less, I'm not trying to force as much. And because I'm not trying to force as much, I have more water in my cup. And I'm becoming more patient. I'm kind of setting my intention and then putting it out there and then doing this. Like, I think I wrote in my notebook, I said, I just want to find, and I said, I want someone to find me who can update my website and do this course, blah, 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 right? And then a week later, maybe 2 weeks later, I had a DM and like my filtered things on Instagram. I don't even manage my Instagram. It's my VA that does it. But I was going through and there was a message. It was like, hey, Cam, like I've checked out your site and you have some really good stuff. One of your videos popped up on my page. She's like, I actually redo websites and help people send down their stuff and build courses. And she's like, you seem like the kind of guy that would benefit from this. Would you be open to a conversation? I chatted with her and I was really impressed. I said, honestly, I've been looking for someone to do this and I put the intention out there and I said, here we are. So Um, she's more expensive than I'd care to admit, but if she can take on majority of this work and do that work for me, that will help me in the long run because she's going to not only optimize, automate, and be delegated to doing this task. She's going to do 90% of the work for me, which is going to save me time and help me moving forward, right? Because I really only have a couple more months of like being able to work on this stuff as much as I can. So if she can get that done in this time, that's pretty cool. I think a lot of people try to manifest in a low vibration and they don't really admit that they are in a low vibration. And I think that self-work needs to be done first. And you intrinsically know the difference between when you're in a low vibration or a high vibration. And a lot of people don't want to admit that they're in a low vibration and then try to manifest and then it doesn't work out. And then they're like, oh, well, this doesn't work, right? So yes, manifesting is a law of attraction, but the law of attraction is really just the law of assumption packaged into something, whatever else. And this is what I teach you guys. I teach you to just assume like your business is already successful. I teach you to assume that you already have that nice car. I teach you to assume that you're already a multimillionaire. When you assume things, you're having a future recorded memory. And if you can start having future recorded memories and feel those future recorded memories, you're going to feel better intrinsically later. Does that make sense? Hi, buddy.
Yes, but here's my thing, like, not everyone is able to be at that high frequency 24/7, you
course.
know. So what happens when maybe you're not in the best frequency and then you're trying to, you still want that manifestation and, you know, obviously you have to fix your vibration, but like sometimes that'll happen for me. So it'll be like a couple days or maybe like a week or something before I feel, you know, more like myself, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's daily work. It's daily work. It is. It's changing your environment, changing the food, changing the places that you go, changing the way that you feel. And sometimes doing a lot less, like letting everything go, is the only way to come back. A lot of people also are stuck in a low vibration because they're holding on to things that are keeping them in a low vibration, right? Whether it be job, relationships, food, bad habits, the house, the place they live. Like, I don't know what you're necessarily holding on to or what you would deem that's keeping you in a low vibration, but these are all things to think about, right? And I would highly recommend journaling them out because if you could write down the things that are keeping you in a low vibration, okay, well, I'm stressed about this and constantly this is the primary story that I'm telling myself. All of these things takes deep work. It's called shadow work. But admitting these to ourselves or writing them down, getting them down on paper, and then understanding, okay, well, I feel like these things are keeping me in a low vibration. What would it look like if I let go? What would it look like if I was able to feel better, right? All of these things are things that I want you to start thinking about. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna cut out here in a little bit or not, but I feel like I've literally just been working on myself so much the last few years. And
Mhm.
then recently I had a conversation with my son and daughter, and they both kind of reiterated, they were like, Mom, at the end of the day, you're always gonna be our mom. We love you, you know, yada yada. And I just cried. I instantly just cried. And I was like, I just really needed to hear that. And then my daughter was like, well, we've been saying this. Like, you just haven't been receiving it. So, yeah, I don't know. But once I kind of was able to receive that, I don't know, it was like a switch flipped for me.
Yeah. Good. Right? Good. Go reread the 5 love languages and kind of reorient yourself to how you like to best be given to, because it may be words of affirmation, right? And if you're receiving more words of affirmation from the people that you love and you care about, that's only going to benefit you in the long term, right?
Yeah.
So let's focus there. Again, I think that we don't have any more one-on-ones, but read the 5 love languages and come back because let's finish that conversation. What may be keeping you in a low vibration is not getting your cup filled via your love language. For me, mine is acts of service, right? Okay. It is. And that's my favorite thing, right? Like,
I would have never thought that my love language was words of affirmation.
well, listen to the book. You may discover something about yourself. You're technically all 5, but you can have more of a dominant one.
Yeah.
So listen to the book, and let's focus on kind of what is keeping you in a low vibration. Maybe the story that you're telling yourself. I don't know. But these are all things that we can tackle soon enough. Okay?
Sure.
Okay. All right. You guys got anything else for me? Yes, no? Okay. So hit me up if you guys have questions, especially pertaining to this, but overall, good short group call. I'll put out more references and we'll talk more about this stuff, especially on the next group call. Okay?
Alrighty.
Okay, guys. Take care of yourselves. We'll talk soon.
All right, thank you.
All right. See you. Bye.